Um, I really liked A Boy of May. I like the art style. This told a story that I had never like even heard of before, and told it in a way that I really liked that was accessible to somebody who didn't know anything. Um, and really laid out like the whole history of the situation. And I come away with a new appreciation, which I think this film was trying to do. So mission accomplished on that front. Also, great design, great art, great painting. Definitely museum ready for sure. Good job.
This film is called A Boy of May. This was an excellent short from South Korea on the topic of the uprising against martial law in 1980. The film does an excellent job explaining the story using such a wide variety of elements, such as black and white video and photography of the protests and the violence, many striking woodcuts, and brilliant detailed animation. The narrator has a lovely, sympathetic voice, recounting the tale of the innocent boy with his new sneakers, who eventually soars above watching the violence below. The musical score is so effective, from light-hearted, upbeat melodies off the top to ominous strains and explosive sound effects. The film is a real eye-opener for me. I'm glad to see these brave protesters are being acknowledged on film. Well done.
A Boy of May. I think that the retelling of this that the filmmakers did of such a absolutely horrible time was done so well and so creatively and so cleverly. The art style and the animation was beautiful. It was really, really well done. In the very beginning, they did a four-way split screen. That was probably the only thing for me that was a little bit confusing and jarring because I didn't know where my focus should be. But everything else going through this film and finding out about the history and what happened there and the telling of this story and this boy and what happened to him, I thought that they did an exceptional job.
I found this film very poetic and beautiful. It's a very interesting way in telling a story, particularly when it involves a real historical event. To take it through the eyes of a child who's been killed by the martial law, it made it even more impactful. I think the use of artwork with stock footage and animation really impacted the story to the point where it could be told visually without any text, any dialogue. It was that impactful and that moving that you knew what was going on without words. The words just made it even more poetic to see what was going on in the way that the filmmaker chose to tell this story.
A Boy of May combines kids animation with the horrifying adult events of the Gwang-ju uprising, which creates a really stark contrast that I think highlights like the innocence lost, during the violent suppression of that uprising, both the personal innocence but also the innocence of the nation itself, which I think is a really interesting point. But by using the style and the perspective of kids animation, I think also kind of finds a level of hope, a sense of magic in that childish perspective, which I think can be used to counter the violence and find some sort of refuge, which I think is really cool. The portrayal of the violence is really stark, really upsetting, but I think the film kind of contains almost like the antidote to that violence, which I think is a genuinely clever thing, genuinely impressive. And I love the way that it intercuts, all these bits of animation with the documentary footage and news footage of what actually happened, because I think that's a really visual way of ramming home, those juxtapositions, which I think is just really clever.
To watch this one and not feel something is to lack any trace of humanity. It's just a terrifying telling of Gwang-ju City, the revolt, the martial law, and it's told in such a fascinating fashion. Uh, you have the real footage, and then you have this sort of whimsical animation and story, and the contrast is really stark. But I really appreciate it as just a piece of media that was informative and even to a degree entertaining, um, but also really just grounded in truth. The all the editorial footage included really just made it made it that much more real. Um, and I think it's just a real, I guess, right time for this kind of film to be passed around to remind people and to caution them about our future and democracy. Uh, it's just, it's a shame what's going on in the world, parts of China and parts here in North America. And for those reasons of what's the current climate, I'm glad this piece exists, and I hope it gets spread far and wide again to not only remind people but to caution us for our future. So great work.
A Boy of May was such a beautiful and heartbreaking story, and I think that what made it so special was the um, the way in which it was told, the medium in which it was told, this beautiful artwork, the different drawings, and the way that this story was told was thoughtful and done with such care and reverence, and it it really personalized the story and focused on like this one young boy and his story and the impact that he had on other people. And so it kind of takes like this conflict or war that happened, and it's really easy to have stats and have factoids and learn about it, but when you really personalize it and turn it into a story about like a single person, um, it just really makes it all that much more special. And this film has all of it. Great, great, great job.